Hello guys, today I'm going to talk about how to fix chronic plantar fasciitis. It's not easy to fix plantar fasciitis and that becomes chronic very easily. I really know about it because I had been suffering from plantar fasciitis for 3 years. I'm a professional marathoner and have wanted to run without any pains. That's why I had been seeking out how to fix chronic plantar fasciitis very seriously. And finally, I became an injury-free runner. The causation of chronic plantar fasciitis is mainly following two. First, you have trigger points somewhere. Second, you have cross-linked adhesions somewhere. Even if you have a pain in plantar fascia, it's not a rare case that plantar fascia is already healed, and trigger points in your calf, hamstrings, or hip cause the pain in plantar fascia. This phenomenon is called whiplash. Whiplash means a pain after it's healed. If you have a pain for a long time, the nervous system and the pain receptors change, and that's why you keep feeling a pain. If you have chronic plantar fasciitis, you also have low-level chronic inflammation, ischemia, and localized lack of oxygen. All it is caused by trigger points. Once trigger points are built, blood doesn't flow as it goes in a normal way. That means oxygen and nutrients don't go to the place. But our cells know how to survive without enough oxygen and nutrients. The gene expression of cells change, reborn in the wrong way, which is called necrosis, and make low-level chronic inflammation. In this way, the cells which cannot get enough oxygen and nutrients can survive. But it causes a pain and degenerative tissues. Finally, the damaged tissues give up healing and become cross-linked adhesions. For these reasons, there are mainly two ways to fix plantar fasciitis. First, to get rid of trigger points. Second, to get rid of cross-linked adhesions. The way of getting rid of trigger points and cross-linked adhesions is very simple, but it's scotoma for most of people. You have been suffering for plantar fasciitis for a long time and seeking out a miracle cure, but unfortunately, there's no miracle cure for chronic plantar fasciitis. All you need to do is putting pressure on your trigger points with some tools and scraping technique. Did you already do these things many times and it didn't work? Yes, I understand your opinion and I can guess you're complaining. The point is that you should do trigger point therapy several times a day with short time like 5 to 10 minutes on one spot and every day. That's the biggest scotoma for most of you. At least you should trigger point therapy 3 times a day and if possible 5 to 6 times a day. All it should be moderate. You should feel some pains, but at the same time the pain should not be uncomfortable or too much. That's the reason why most of therapists couldn't fix your chronic plantar fasciitis. It's not because they can't fix it, but you cannot go to them several times a day and every day. Even if you are a professional athlete, it's not easy to go to them 3 times a day and every day realistically. But it's also good because you don't need to spend tons of money to fix your plantar fasciitis, because you can fix it by cheap tools. There are many expensive massage tools, but you don't need it. A softball, a lacrosse ball, a foam roller, a wooden foot roller, and your hands, that's it. That's all you need for trigger point therapy. Also, how to do is very simple. Just put pressure on your trigger points or rolling it under your plantar fascia, calf, hamstrings, or hip. These are 2 golf balls. I attached the 2 golf balls with tape and roll it on my feet. Not only inside but also outside and center, and also you can put all your weight on the 2 golf balls. This is foam roller. You can buy it in a sport shop or you can buy it on Amazon. It costs about $20 or something like that. You don't need to buy expensive one. An expensive one costs about sometimes $100, but $100 foam roller are almost same with 20 bucks formula. Just you can roll it on your calf, hamstrings, and hip or something like that. And this is a software. This is very good tool for trigger point therapy. I always use softball when I do trigger point therapy on hip muscles. Not only side muscles, but also bottom of muscles. Just put pressure on your hip muscles is also a good idea. I mean, not only rolling it. And when I do trigger point therapy for hamstrings, I also use a softball. I put it on the hamstrings and push my knee down by my hands. And usually hold it 10 seconds or something like that. Of course, you can use your hands. I always use my thumb. And first, find where trigger points are and put pressure on it. Also, it's a good idea to hold it and move your feet. And also, I use this massage tool. It costs about $10 US. It's not expensive at all. And put pressure on my feet. Also, you need to fix your cross-linked adhesions. Once you get cross-linked adhesions in the fascia, your central nervous system and sensory organs in the muscle fascia, which are called muscle spindles and Golgi tendon organs, misunderstand how much pain you should feel and how your legs and feet move in the three-dimensional space. That means, first, your central nervous system feels the pain even if it should be already healed. And second, feedback and feed forward between your central nervous system and muscles are not congruent. In other words, the central nervous system misunderstands where your foot or leg is in the three-dimensional space. Whatever it is, if something is wrong and the central nervous system gets wrong information, your body makes a wrong signal. Usually it's a pain. The best way of fixing cross-linked adhesions is the scraping technique. In my case, I always use shamoji and scrape the calf and plantar fascia with lubrication like olive oil or MSM cream. I'm not sure if you have ever seen shamoji in your life. It's used when scooping rice from a rice cooker. It's the only way to use it. In Japan, there's at least one shamoji in every house and it's very cheap. Cheap one costs just $1 and the expensive one is sometimes more than 100 bucks. But 100 bucks shamoji is not something practical anymore, but it's an art. Maybe it's made for that someone enjoys to see it. Most of shamoji costs just a few bucks. In case you cannot find a shamoji, if it has round edge, whatever it is, you can use it. Maybe the best way is using a plastic cutting board. Or, once your plantar fasciitis gets better, a metal spoon can be also an option. A wooden spoon is a good idea also in the beginning. You should not do scraping therapy several times a day, but just once a day. In the beginning, it might be a good idea that you do it every other day. And once your body starts responding well to the scraping technique, you better do it every day. When you do scraping therapy, you should always scrape from the farther place to the nearer place, not the other way around. For example, when you scrape your plantar fascia, you should scrape from the toe to heel direction. And when you scrape the calf muscle, you should scrape from the Achilles tendon to your thigh direction. Always from the farther place from the spine to nearer place from the spine. You might hear some sounds when you do scraping technique. The sounds tell you when you should treat. The more sound you hear, the more you better treat on that place. Where you hear sounds is the place that you have cross-linked adhesion. This is scraping technique. Make sure to use lubrication. I always use MSM cream, but olive oil is also good. You don't need to cost something expensive. And scraping, but make sure to far place from your spine to nearer place from the spine. So this case, from the Achilles tendon to thigh direction, not the other way around. I mean heel to thigh direction. And not only inside but also outside. You might hear some sounds when you do scraping technique. Where you hear sounds, where you should treat. There is cross-linked adhesions. And make sure to get rid of all cross-linked adhesions. It's not only for your pain, but also for your running style. If you have cross-linked adhesions, you cannot make as relaxed as possible running style. Run fast and stay relaxed. That's the key. If you can fix chronic plantar fasciitis, depends on where you treat, how often you treat, how strongly you do therapy, how much stress you put on the plantar fascia in the daily life and specific activity like running or any other sport, and your diet. I will not talk about diet here, but other 4 factors. First, you should do trigger point therapy several times a day in short time and do scraping therapy once a day or every other day. Second, all your therapy should be moderate. You should feel some pains, but at the same time, it should not be uncomfortable. Third, you should not do anything which you know it hurts your plantar fascia, but it doesn't mean that you can do something which makes you feel a pain. There's no excuse to stop moving with plantar fasciitis. Light exercises make your plantar fasciitis better. If you cannot walk 20 minutes, walk 10 minutes, or do cycling. Never give up. But if you feel a stronger pain after you do it, you should stop doing it and go for a different sport or activity. Fourth, even if you feel a pain in the plantar fascia, that doesn't always mean you have a problem in the plantar fascia. Very often problems are in the calf and hamstrings and sometimes in the hip. You should find out where you should treat. It's also not a rare case that pain is not gone until you treat plantar fascia, calf, and hamstrings at the same time. My case was also this case. How long do you need to fix chronic plantar fasciitis? Unfortunately, I cannot answer the question. All cases are different, but I strongly believe that if you follow my instructions 6 weeks, you can see at least some improvements. I'm sure that the worst thing about chronic plantar fasciitis is that you cannot see any difference, and that's why you cannot figure out when the war against the chronic plantar fasciitis is over. Once you see the improvement, even if it's a little bit, it can be the light in the dark tunnel. If you have a question and or want to know about more specific case, please contact me from the URL below. I would be really happy if I can help you to fix your plantar fasciitis. Thank you for your watching and bye for now. Take care guys.